Hello and welcome to Iron Port, your #1 platform for all maritime activities in Ghana. Today's episode of Iron Port, viewers, promises a lot of content, so stick with us. Iron Port is proudly brought to you by Ghana Revenue Authority, GOIL, PLC Serene Insurance, Ghana Link, Meridian Port Services and Phoenix Insurance. It is powered by Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Our media partner is the Business and Financial Times. Viewers, on this episode of Iron Port, we revisit the climate question and explored the crucial steps the shipping industry is taking towards maritime decarbonization. We engaged two officials from the Ghana Maritime Authority on the Green Voyage 2050, an initiative by the International Maritime Organization to assist developing countries transition smoothly to cleaner and more sustainable practices. But before we get into this interactive session, let us take a look at a workshop that was organized in Tema, Ghana on the National Action Plan for Maritime Decarbonization, which will help put this discussion into proper context. Take a listen. The Ghana Maritime Authority has organized a workshop to fashion out a national action plan for shipping decarbonization in Ghana under the IMO Green Voyage 2050 program. Green Voyage 2050 is a global program supporting developing countries to reduce emissions from ships in line with the 2023 International Maritime Organization greenhouse gas strategy. The aims of this action plan would be to, among others, guide a country towards reducing greenhouse gas emissions and air pollutants in the maritime sector, and also tapping into the opportunities presented by the green transition agenda. Member states are expected to take an active role in implementing the IMO greenhouse gas strategy, including the development of clear roadmaps to advance the maritime green transition within their respective jurisdictions. As the lead agency representing the IMO in Ghana, the Ghana Maritime Authority has been actively initiating measures to ensure a just transition for Ghana. To formally initiate the National Action Plan development process, a national kickoff workshop has been organized by the IMO Green Voyage 2050 program, involving key public and private sector stakeholders to oversee the development of the National Action Plan. Addressing participants, the Acting Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Dr. Kamaldeen Ali, entreated all stakeholders to work assiduously and collectively to achieve the Green Voyage 2050 target.
This is a national action plan. So it cannot and it will not be a Ghana Maritime Authority document. It is a document that requires our collective input, our collective deliberation, and our collective adoption generally. Let me highlight that we are just not looking at this strategy from the point of view of regulation, but it's equally key in terms of future economic opportunities. So when you look at the document, you realize that it has a number of thematic pillars. And while some of the pillars are looking at reduction, other pillars are looking at how do we as a country take advantage of the changing situation. We have to quickly then see how we mobilize ourselves to meet that responsibility globally, but also to look at the positive side and how we strategize to take advantage of the economic opportunities that will come along with decarbonization.
One of the project leads with the IMO, Astrid Dispet, gave more insights into the development of the IMO Net Zero framework. The adoption of the 2023 IMO strategy on the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions from ships outlines ambitious targets aimed at achieving the net zero emissions in the industry by 2050.
Oil spills overall has been reducing. So while trade is increasing, overall spills are reducing. So it shows you that something is working and regulations are working and are being addressed. And how green is the industry overall? And when I say green, I mean emissions. And I often hear it doesn't sound that much. It's substantial. It is 3% of the whole global emissions. And if you look at the projections, a lot of countries are developing more and more and more. So there's an increased trade that we're seeing. If you look at numbers of international trade, they have been increasing over the last decade and are projected to increase. So we cannot just sit around and do nothing.
you were also at the workshop the other day in Tema, and I want to find out from you, so far, what has been some of the things that the Ghana Maritime Authority has done in the quest to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in Ghana?
We basically implement and enforce the global regulations that are established at the International Maritime Organization. And as such, we have actually been doing a lot as part of our routine work, our daily work routine. For instance, to begin with, we have domesticated the MAPL Convention, which we now have as the Maritime Pollution Act, Act 932, which includes MAPL Annex 6, the annex that deals with air pollution prevention. And as part of our post-state control activities, we do enforce the provisions of MAPL Annex 6. And so basically, and we do organize awareness stakeholder workshops on green shipping. In fact, in February 2023, Ghana hosted the first ever green shipping conference, regional within the African continent.
Right.
So all this is to stage Ghana within the context that we are ready to transition. And as a matter of fact, it's not even a question. Once we are member state we are party to the MAPL Convention, we are obliged to implement the regulations.
Right. Let me come to the studios to Madam Gina Nyadia and find out from you why you think Ghana was chosen alongside, I think, 4 others, 5 countries in all are benefiting from this Green Voyage 2050 program by the IMO.
Yeah. In fact, why Ghana was actually chosen,
selected, yes.
There are so many reasons why Ghana was chosen.
Yes.
But to just give a brief, actually, Ghana has been very active in the discussions of IMO in deliberation. We take very active role in the discussions and the deliberations, and then we make submissions on the floor of IMO.
Yes.
It's not just only oral submissions, we also do written submissions.
Right.
Sometime before the committee meetings or after the committee meetings. So being so active, I mean, we cannot be missing.
Right.
We are so visible. So when the Green Voyage 2050 initiative came up, and then we expressed interest, they had to actually consider us to be included to get some of the support that comes with the Green Voyage 2050 project. And then as part of being active at the deliberations of IMO, not so long ago, we had a Ghanaian being the chair of the legal committee. We have several committees of the IMO.
Dr. Mbia at the
yes,
time, 2 consecutive terms, I can't forget that.
Yes, so all those things made us so visible.
The first black man to have achieved that feat,
to actually head the legal committee of the International Maritime Organization.
Right.
And then also in the shipping industry, Ghana is actually very compliant.
Yes.
Compliant, we have the International Convention for the Standards of Training, Certification, and Watchkeeping for Seafarers, that's the STCW Convention.
Right.
So it requires states to actually put in certain measures in relation to the training of their seafarers and certification. And as you are aware, actually, we have the Regional Maritime University that helps train our seafarers, and then we certify them. So we have put on the white list of the IMO.
Yes.
And to be on the white list means that you are compliant of the provisions of the STCW Convention.
Right.
So all this played a role in making us visible, putting us as a certain pedestal for us who had been recognized.
Yes.
So when the expression of interest came for states to apply so that they could benefit from what the initiative has to offer, and we did, and we actually were among the first states to apply for the assistance. So our proactive actions actually led to us having been recognized and having been considered to get the support of the Green Voyage initiative.
Right. Under the Green Voyage 2050 program, what specific technical support will Ghana receive from the IMO?
Yes, the technical support available under the initiative, they are numerous. First of all, we have the development of national action plans.
Right.
And then as in our discussion earlier, it was indicated, we had a kickoff meeting at Tema. That was on 11th of February 2025. That was just on Tuesday.
Yes.
Yes, so we had a development. And so because the IMO is supposed to help nations, actually let me say developing nations,
yes.
It's not just all nations, developing nations to develop the NAP, they have to come actually into the jurisdiction to meet the relevant stakeholders so that discussions can be had to actually explain what the Green Voyage initiative is all about. It is when you understand what the Green Voyage initiative is about, that is what will actually make it sell and for stakeholders be willing to actually collaborate with the Ghana Maritime Authority for it to become a reality. And then also we'll receive assistance in drafting of our legislations.
Right.
Currently we have the International Convention on Pollution of Vessels. That's the MAPO. MAPO, Sumabe actually mentioned. So we have the MAPO. The MAPO has been domesticated, I would say, in part. MAPO is made up of 6 annexes. So we've domesticated the 6 annexes, but the one that is very important to the Green Voyage initiative is Annex 6, which deals with pollution, atmospheric pollution, and then emissions and what have you. So when we did our Maritime Pollution Act in 2016, as of 2016, certain regulations that we now have in place had not been entered into force.
Right.
So as it stands, the Green Voyage initiative, the technical assistance they can give is to help us actually draft the regulations.
Right.
And then let me just add that for Ghana, we are very lucky, and for that matter, the Ghana Maritime Authority, we have lots of capacity building in terms of how to draft international conventions.
Right.
So for that one, the efforts of the Green Voyage team will only supplement what we have. Absolutely. But definitely it will lead to updating of our domestic laws. And then we'll also have assistance in assessing the potential, the economic potentials of green fuels in Ghana. So there will be research initiatives to see what green fuels we can produce, what we can produce and what we can supply. And then this will actually lead to economic benefits for the country. And then when we have the relevant, if we are able to develop the right fuels and have this in supply, this can be a bunkering hub, whereby vessels will come to bunker and all that. And then there will also be capacity building. Yes, because the whole idea of green shipping is a new trend. It's a new trend. What capacity do we have? What do we need to know? So all these things, I mean, new things are coming up, capacities need to be built and what have you. So basically that's about it. But what I would just add is that the benefits we stand, the technical assistance we stand to achieve, they are enormous.
So if you can tell us or walk us through the impact of the Green Voyage 2050 on Ghana's shipping industry and what role the ports have to play as far as this whole thing is concerned.
As to what ports are expected to do, so it's actually going to be captured under the NAP because, as has already been mentioned, it is going to be a national action plan. So the port authority will have a greater role to play because when ships call on any country, they go to the port. If they go to dock at the port, and so there are a lot of sustainable practices that can be adopted that will be adopted by the port, including the restructuring of the port infrastructure, to make sure that the sustainable infrastructure is in place. We are talking about making Ghana a green bunkering hub, which will imply that we need to have the infrastructure available for bunkering of the particular green alternative fuels that we are going to arrive at as a nation. And also, there's also the need for the port to undertake what we call alternative maritime power provision, which is in effect to provide clean shore power. And the shore power provision should not be from fossil-based sources, because that will not make it clean. By clean, it should be from renewable energy sources directly to the port, so that when ships call at the port, the level of emissions, because they can plug onto the power source, and then the level of emissions can reduce. And other measures that the ports need to do is to improve upon their operational capabilities, to ensure that there are activities in place so that when vessels call at the port, they'll be that kind of like just-in-time sailing will come into effect, and which means that ships will not spend more days at the port. They will spend fewer days, which will mean that there will be lesser emissions from ships at our port, and it will not only go a long way to enhancing upon the Ghana's position within the whole green transition setup, but it will also have positive influence on the port community, because as I mentioned earlier, the emissions from ships doesn't only contain GHGs, but also air pollutants like sulfur and NOx. So all these have health implications on the port community. If we have cleaner ports, it means that the health and safety of our port communities will also be improved upon.
All right, so that was the Ghana Maritime Authority bringing us up to date with the IMO Green Voyage 2050. More of this conversation can be found on our extended version of this episode on our YouTube channel. Now let us hear a few comments you have shared with us on this subject after we will go on break and then return with more news. Stay tuned.
Engineer Nate says, good discussion. Please ask Council, what are the potential economic benefits of decarbonization for Ghana's maritime sector, including cost savings and new business opportunities?
There are several opportunities. Actually, earlier mentioned the OMCs,
Yes.
the oil marketing companies,
Yes.
and then the bunkering activities.
Yeah.
So this will actually bring on board private companies,
Yes.
or maybe government companies. And from the discussion so far, going green
Yes.
will be cost intensive.
Absolutely.
We might need public-private partnerships
Yes.
to be able to achieve this.
Good energy brings you quality choices with Goil Super XP. Available in many Goil stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a Goil station today and energize your ride with Goil Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. Goil Super XP will feel ya, huh? Will be feel. Goil, good energy. Yeah, yeah.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, streetlights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is, you still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water, or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302-246-319 or 0243-690-492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
Welcome back, viewers. Up next is a lot of positive news and activities from our port and maritime sector. Take a listen. Brigadier General Paul Seydou Tanya Kulono has assumed office as the Acting Director General of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, following his appointment by President John Dramani Mahama earlier this week. He takes over from Michael Achagua Luguje, who served as the authority's Director General since 2018. To commence his tenure, Brigadier General Tanya Kulono held a preliminary meeting with GPHA management and the leadership of staff unions last Tuesday. The engagements allowed both parties to familiarize themselves with each other and reaffirm their shared commitment to advancing the authority's mandate. On Wednesday, the new Director General was formally introduced to the entire workforce at a brief gathering held at the forecourt of the Marine Department. He was received with warmth and respect by staff members who welcomed his leadership. Addressing the workforce, Brigadier General Tanya Kulono assured employees that his administration will be built on the principles of discipline, fairness, and teamwork.
Let's be disciplined. How do we become disciplined? Punctuality. You must be punctual at work, and then you all lead by example. Very simple. I hope I'm clear. The second one has to do with fairness. I will treat everyone here fairly. This is the time we should build this institution so that in 50 years' time, we can come back here and be smiling.
Outgoing Director General Michael Achagua Luguje expressed gratitude for the support he received during his tenure and urged staff to rally behind the new leadership for the continued growth of GPHA.
This morning, I just want to use this opportunity to thank all of you for all the experience we've had together in GPHA, and then plead with you to give General your best cooperation. If you were cooperating with me, I want you to increase your cooperating 10 times with him, because at the end of the day, every single progress that GPHA makes is for all of us our interests.
Brigadier General Tanya Kulono brings extensive leadership, defense, and legal expertise to his new role. Prior to this appointment, he served as Deputy Commandant of the National College of Defense Studies at Boamah Camp, Accra. Meanwhile, Brigadier General Paul Seydou Tanya Kulono, the Acting Director General of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, later that week paid a familiarization visit to the port of Takoradi as part of his broader engagement with employees of the organization he has taken charge of. During his visit, he met with management, staff unions, and the entire workforce to reaffirm his leadership vision anchored on discipline, fairness, and teamwork. Addressing the port's workforce, Brigadier General Tanya Kulono emphasized the importance of collaboration in driving the growth of Ghana's premier port.
Each one of you treated equal. no matter where you come from. Equal treatment. No VIP treatment.
The director of the Port of Takoradi, Peter Amubediakon, as well as the outgoing Director General of GPHA, Michael Lugoje, called on the staff body to commit to the vision of the new GPHA boss towards the growth of the organization and Mother Ghana.
We want to assure you that you will have our support.
All I can see is that things have changed after everybody changed. That's what all of us go to. We get to retirement and retire. Some even retire earlier than 60. That's the idea. Show that everywhere you are at every point in time, it's just a passage. So you should do the best you can at every stage that you are in, so that you don't look back at many years.
The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority has honoured Colonel Benjamin Boamah, the outgoing Tema Port Security Manager, with a farewell parade at Agbozo Park to recognise his dedicated service from January 2023 to February 2025. The event also served as the official welcome for his successor, Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Atobrah Bondah. The ceremony brought together former port security managers, military officers, GPHA management and staff, as well as industry stakeholders who gathered to celebrate Colonel Boamah's contributions to the security and safety of the port environment. In her remarks, Director of Port Tema, Sandro Puku, commended Colonel Boamah for his exceptional leadership, highlighting his commitment to discipline and operational efficiency.
We are here to honor a soldier, a professional, for his sense of leadership, his sense of discipline, and his sense of fairness. We are here to honor Colonel Benjamin Boamah. He came to GPHA in January 2023, and I have to say for the last 2 years, his impact has been wonderful. And we want to say thank you to you for what you have done.
Colonel Boamah, in his farewell speech, thanked the GPHA leadership, his colleagues, and the security personnel for their unwavering support during his tenure.
First and foremost, I wish to thank the Director of Port, Mrs. Sandra Opoku, for your exemplary leadership and unflinching support to me and the Security Department during my tenure of duty. I will forever be grateful, ma'am. I wish to personally acknowledge and appreciate all the past PSNs for your pep talks, invaluable pieces of advice, and prayer support. I wish to say that I salute you all, and may the good Lord bless you and your entire family. My profound gratitude also goes to management staff, senior and junior staff of GPHA, whose names I cannot mention here because of time and space, for your invaluable support. I am eternally grateful.
The event also marked the official introduction of Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Atobrah Bondah as the new port security manager. Lieutenant Colonel Bondah is a highly accomplished military officer with extensive expertise in operational command, security training, and maritime security. The event concluded with a symbolic handover as the GPHA Security Department and stakeholders welcomed the incoming port security manager to his new role. Meridian Port Services Limited has appointed Global Communities International to collaborate with the Ghana TVET service to launch the Alternative Livelihood project, an initiative aimed at equipping 100 individuals from 5 coastal fishing communities with vocational skills to enhance the economic opportunities. The initiative will benefit members of Nungwa, Sakumono, Tema, Bong and Prampram communities. As part of the project, a baseline study will be conducted to assess participants' strengths before they undergo an intensive skills training program. The training will cover various vocational fields, including welding, cosmetology, electrical engineering, carpentry, and painting. Upon completion, beneficiaries will receive official certification in startup tools. During a community engagement session held at the Tema Fishing Harbours Canoe Basin, the initiative was formally introduced to stakeholders. The event was attended by community leaders, chief fishermen, the vice president of the Canoe and Fishing Gear Owners Association, representatives from MPS, officials from global communities, and the deputy director general of the Ghana TVET service. Speaking exclusively with Iron Port, Dr. Eben Enua-Ama, a consultant and spokesperson for the beneficiary fishing communities, emphasized the importance of the initiative in diversifying income sources and ensuring sustainable livelihoods for coastal residents.
So after this training, there will be opportunities for attachment. They will be attached to various skills craft masters or industry to deepen the understanding. And for those who want to work for others, they can apply to work for others. For those who want to stay on their own, they will be entooled with the necessary tools to start their own businesses. Within the training, there will be entrepreneurship training, career counseling and guidance, so on and so forth. So they can be self-sufficient, not necessarily depending on others, except for those who want to work for others. So this is a very fantastic, it's an alternative livelihood project.
On his part, Mr. Frank Brown, the head of legal and compliance for MPS, admonished the beneficiaries who had gathered to make good use of the opportunity to impact their communities.
Because amena Bejianoto, you are many men branch into other areas. In a young ladies, young boys, young men, be fire naked ni ni it is a very important noko nika okay ohe womi ni ogbena ubana o wana nuchumo ni wana nuchumo eke mokonye sakibo your company because bo onuchumo ni eke obaya hefe.
This initiative builds on MPS's long-standing commitment to socio-environmental sustainability. In 2022, the company donated 6 million Ghana cedis worth of resources to these fishing communities, including 2,000 bundles of fishing nets, 35 IMaH outboard motors, and 2 fully equipped canoes to help sustain traditional fishing activities. The International Maritime Hospital has launched its Cervical Cancer Awareness Month campaign, emphasizing early detection as a critical step in the fight against the disease. According to the World Health Organization, cervical cancer claims over 340,000 lives annually, with nearly 80,000 of cases and 90% of deaths occurring in low-income countries. In response, IMaH is intensifying its awareness efforts to promote screening, vaccination, and preventive measures. This year's campaign, themed Empowering Prevention, Protection, and Early Detection Measures, highlights the importance of a collective approach in tackling cervical cancer. As part of the initiative, the hospital is offering a 30% discount on screening laboratory tests and HPV vaccinations to encourage early detection and prevent the virus that causes the cervical cancer. The health experts from IMaH provided more insights.
Cervical cancer, as it has been presented, is asymptomatic. It doesn't present with any symptoms. By the time, by experience, you start showing symptoms, it means that it's late. The post-coital bleeding, abnormal vaginal bleeding and all that, it means that we have lost it. And you know the position of the cervix. The cervix is what? A hidden structure. You don't see it with the naked eye. is hidden. So until something happens, you will not be able to detect it. And it's been found that the pap smear is the only way for you to have what? Abnormal cells collected.
Cervical cancer starts with pre-cancerous lesions, and that's what we tend to detect and then prevent cancer. So it starts with precursor lesions, which have significant potential to malignancy. And most of these lesions are asymptomatic, meaning you and I walking around, no vaginal discharge, everything is fine down there. We will not know that we may have the lesions that can lead us to have cervical cancer. So we know that we screen by pap smear, and the pap smear and the HPV DNA testing has reduced the incidence of malignant lesions all over the world, especially in the developed world, because for them, you don't have a choice. Anyone who has been in the US or has relatives, they know that you'll be sent messages, you'll be taxed to come and do your screening test, because they believe in prevention more than us who believe in treatment.
Speaking at the launch, Member of Parliament for Tema West, lawyer James Enu, reaffirmed the government's commitment to increasing healthcare resources and strengthening awareness programs to mitigate the impact of cervical cancer and other life-threatening diseases.
The President John Dramani Mahama, in his manifesto leading to the 7th December 2024 elections, promised a policy initiative to establish the Ghana Medical Care Trust Fund to support the cost of healthcare for persons with chronic diseases such as cancers, including cervical cancer. I believe this will go a long way to help in early detection, prevention, and cure for the disease, and thus reduce the incidence of cervical cancer amongst our women.
The initiative aligns with global efforts to eliminate cervical cancer through regular screenings, HPV vaccinations, and public education. IMaH urges all eligible individuals to take advantage of the discounted services and prioritize their health through early detection.
Let us now turn our attention to the global stage and pick a few international shipping and maritime related news. South Africa's first LNG import terminal at the port of Richards Bay is progressing, with a final investment decision expected in 2026. A joint venture, Zululand Energy Terminal, formed by Transnet Pipelines and Vopak Terminal Durban, has signed a 25-year concession for land use. The project includes a floating storage unit with a capacity of up to 174,000 cubic meters, later transitioning to onshore storage. It aims to support energy security amid coal plant decommissioning and promote industrial growth. Transnet is also exploring an LNG pipeline transition to enhance gas distribution. South Korea's government plans to invest $152.89 million to build or retrofit 81 eco-friendly vessels, supporting the shipping industry's transition to low-emission technologies. The funding, sourced from national and local budgets, will support public and private sector ships, including electric and hybrid-powered vessels. The initiative aligns with the 2018 law promoting sustainable shipbuilding and offers subsidies of up to 30% for private companies adopting green solutions. This move follows South Korea's ongoing leadership in high-value green ship orders and broader efforts to modernize its port and marine infrastructure. Now to our Word of the Day segment, which brings to you words, abbreviations and terminologies that we often use in this industry so you can get familiar with them. We'll tell you today what we mean by FSU.
Floating Storage Unit, FSU. In maritime terminology, a floating storage unit, also known as FSU, is a vessel designed to receive and store liquefied natural gas, LNG, offshore at approximately -160 degrees Celsius. Unlike floating storage and regasification units, also known as FSRUs, FSUs lack regasification capabilities. They can be paired with onshore regasification facilities or floating regasification units, also known as FRUs, to supply natural gas to markets.
Now for this week's health and safety tip, we will tell you the benefits of getting a pap smear, coming on the back of the Cervical Cancer Awareness Month celebration by the International Maritime Hospital.
Getting a pap smear. A pap smear or pap test is a procedure used to screen for cervical cancer by collecting a cell sample from the cervix to examine under a microscope. Its main purpose is to detect precancerous or cancerous cells, infections, and inflammation. The test is performed by using a small brush to collect cells from the cervix. The frequency of pap smear varies based on age and other factors. For example, women aged 21 to 29 should get their first test at 21, then every 3 years. While it's generally not painful, it may cause discomfort and light bleeding can occur afterwards. If discomfort or bleeding lasts longer than expected, you should inform your healthcare provider.
It is now the time to take a look at the schedule of vessels that have berthed in the ports of Tema, like the ones lined up behind me, those at Anchorage, those in Takoradi, and those expected in the coming weeks, plus the Bank of Ghana exchange rates, which you may need to know to clear your cargo with. This brings us to the end of today's Eye on Port episode. We hope you've been informed and educated. Remember, all Eye on Port content can be found on our YouTube channel, Eye on Port. Subscribe, like, and share our videos. Thank you for watching.